Hello and welcome back to yet another fantastic episode of The Movie Hoppers. And if you want Movie Hopper shirts, just text 81010 to @hopshirt, one word. All the info's in the description. But most of you don't care about that. Most of you care about probably our most high-profile guest we've ever had on the... Not probably. The most
Well, yeah.
high-profile guest we've ever had on the show. With 20,000 subscribers as of recording. We have Molethu Studios, baby.
Hello there. Hello to the Movie Hoppers. My first Movie Hoppers video thing.
Yeah. He's very much into Disney, which makes him perfect for
Yes,
this movie because we are
exactly.
reviewing Mulan 2020. Very,
Yes, we are.
very controversial film. Um,
Very controversial.
yeah, just in every facet, the story, the characters, how it's released. This movie
Yeah.
is just a
Actually,
controversy.
it was controversial the beginning of the production. Like
Oh, yeah.
Disney wanted to make this film ever since 2010 because after the last one bombed in China, they're like, okay, we need to ease things with China. How are we gonna do that? So they wanted to make this remake since 2010.
Yeah, this remake, you can definitely tell that they were trying to appeal to not even a Chinese audience, but to China themselves.
Yeah, they were trying to do China and the fans of the original Mulan,
Hmm.
which makes sense, like considering the movie.
Yeah, but there's definitely, I think just right off the bat, the one big problem I had with it is that the whole movie is about not fitting into a mold, right? Like
Yeah,
Mulan is like, hey, I don't want to be this housewife or whatever, and that's cool.
yeah.
But
Yeah, I see what they were going for,
uh huh,
but it kind of failed at like some point in the movie.
the reason why it failed for me is because this is a very authoritarian story, kind of like the bad guys are bad guys because they're rebelling against the government, and that's the
Yeah,
only real background we have for them.
yeah.
Like,
There's no fleshing out on the characters themselves.
yeah.
I gotta say with this, like the original Mulan, they didn't bother fleshing out the characters in the first place. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
bother fleshing out the Huns. But they changed the Huns to the Rurons, and part of that was because the country of Turkey, I think, did not like Mulan, so they kind of banned it because they thought it was like disrespectful to them with the
Mm-hmm.
Huns, because I think the Huns were descendants of Turkish people, I think.
Uh-huh.
So they kind of changed that to the Rurons, but they didn't also like in the original they didn't bother to flesh out the Huns, nor did they do that with the Rurons. But in the original they didn't flesh out the villain character, but in this one they kind of did, with two separate villains, which I think was kind of good. What do you think?
Well, I think the two separate villains things was fine. I just don't know why the villains were bad. Like, why were we supposed to hate the villains?
Yes, well, they did give us a hint, but it wasn't great compared to with Jafar or Scar from The Lion King or Aladdin, like the originals.
Yeah.
It wasn't that powerful or moving like with Scar for the original, for example. He's only the villain because he wants to be king because he's jealous of his older brother, and we can relate to that in some way because at some point we are jealous. But in this case, the villains in this one didn't feel as relatable.
Justified. Yeah.
Yeah, justified, or I don't know, fleshed out, I think
Mm-hmm.
it is the word. So I really don't know what to say about the villains in this one, other than the fact that the female villain was, for me, was the best part. She was okay, I guess.
Yeah, she wasn't bad. Uh, I kind of predicted what was going to happen with her.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was it was sort of
yeah, yeah.
predictable.
Not spoiling it, obviously.
Yeah, yeah,
If
no
you,
spoilers.
yeah, if you cannot predict it, but yeah, she was kind of predictable what she was going to do. But again, my main problem with the villains is that here are their motivations or the reason why they're quote unquote bad. It's because like the emperor killed the one guy's brother. That's reasonable.
That was the
Um,
father. He said he
yeah,
killed your father.
yeah, father. Um, and the like dynasty or whatever, the emperor basically stole their land,
Yeah.
and like, okay, what? That's not a reason to hate somebody. Like,
Yeah, that's the common
it's
thing.
so
That's
weird. How?
it's not like relatable or like it's
Mm-hmm.
like okay that's a thing that happened
Yeah.
like that's what happened during World War II or one like that's what happened like no
Mm-hmm.
one cares about that like how is this supposed to like make us feel for the villain because
I
like in
know.
most cases villains would usually be the best part of the movie like
Yeah.
the only thing I liked about the villains or like is the female character once more the female
Mm-hmm.
character to me was the best part but the
Yeah.
male one didn't appeal to me in any way villains in every single Disney movie are properly like fleshed out, properly like they're the most loved. Like everyone prefers Scar over Simba, everyone prefers Jafar over Jasmine and Aladdin,
Mm-hmm.
everyone prefers villains over heroes. In this case, it wasn't the case at all. It was just it didn't like you know what I mean? It just didn't
Yeah.
like I don't know who to like side with because usually I'd side with the villains, but I didn't side with anyone this time.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my problem wasn't like liking the villains. It was that the villains weren't even bad guys. They were just people with different opinions and backgrounds. They did nothing bad in this movie. Nothing that the other side didn't do. The only bad thing they did was rebel against the government, which I feel like is part of the whole appealing to the
Wait,
Chinese.
wouldn't that make the like the government the villain then? Like
Well,
wouldn't that like
kind of.
if you think about it, that would make them the villains. Like we're supposed to think that they are the villains, but in reality they turn out the villains which with the government is the villains, like the Chinese, like
Yeah,
it's confusing. Like who are we supposed to side with?
I know. I think the whole thing is supposed to again appeal to the Chinese government, like the whole Hong Kong thing. It's like, hey, if you rebel against the government, you're a bad guy, and Mulan is gonna come and kick your ass. Metaphorically speaking.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that's why that's there. It just doesn't translate well to an American audience, I guess.
Yeah. Like speaking of that, like America absolutely ripped apart this movie. Like if you see the audience score, it's like 40%.
I know.
It's 40%. Like and like the main like the controversial comments are like, "Oh, this doesn't have Mushu or the songs,"
Mm-hmm.
which like I'm just saying like I'm like here saying it's a film meant for Chinese audience. It's not just to appeal to like American audience. Like the first one like was hated by China. You already know that because of
Mm-hmm.
Mushu and the songs. So I think it was the songs. I don't know, but yeah, they kind of tried to make it appealing to Chinese audience. So I don't know. I don't understand why America has to hate the movie just because it's trying to appeal to a certain audience.
Well, China. I said the thing in the group chat yesterday. China actually
Yeah.
kind of did not like this one either, so I guess they kind of just
I mean,
fucked up.
I did see like one comment, like I did see an article when Disney released like a poster to of Mulan to China. China was like ripping apart that thing too, saying, "Ah, this is exactly like the what happened with the original." I don't know what went wrong with the poster because I thought the poster was fine, but they were like,
Hmm.
"Ah, this looks photoshopped or something." I don't know
I
what they
guess
said.
just maybe they just the bad CG
I
maybe
think
just in
let's
the
talk about
poster.
the CGI.
Yeah, that's like the first thing, the first big thing I know is the scene with the chicken, and then she
Yeah,
flips off the roof, and it just looks really, really
dull,
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to commend about like the editing. The editing is I don't know which one to talk about, the editing or the CGI. To me, the editing was like because like you can tell which scenes are like fast, like
Hmm.
which like it just feels choppy. Like the editing just kind of feels choppy in a way. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and the CGI is it just stands out. Like you can tell it's
Uh huh.
CGI. Like in most films like Jurassic World or something, it feels like they are actually part of the environment. The dinosaurs, like in Jurassic Park, they are part of the environment. But in Mulan, they just stand out the most. So you can honestly tell which is like the CGI. And the CGI, I don't know if it's worse than like the Aladdin remake or it's better, but like I can't tell because like Aladdin had some okay visual effects.
Yeah, that was the good part of that movie for me personally. But yeah, it's really weird for a $200 million movie to have
Yeah.
CGI kind of look this bad. I guess maybe
I mean,
there's development issues or something.
yeah, they had to do some reshoots on the
Uh,
movie at some point,
that's never good.
which yeah, which could explain. Plus, this is like the first move, like this is the second Disney movie to be directed by a woman,
Mm,
which compared to the other remakes, this actually was like better than the other remakes because it wasn't like a shot for shot remake unlike The Lion
yeah.
King. You already know how much I hate that
Oh,
movie.
I hate that movie. Similar, yeah.
Yeah, you didn't watch the original, did you?
I have seen the original before. Yeah, the original animated one. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, like it wasn't a shot for shot remake, and like there are some scenes they take from the original, but they
Mm,
kind of update it into a way that's kind of actually good. So the only thing I have to say is like I appreciate the director for taking risks,
mm,
especially when the in the case of removing Mushu, which was actually kind of a risky one in this case. It's like removing the genie from Aladdin. Like you can't do that
yeah.
because it's like he's part of the story. You can't do that with like the original Mulan because again he's part of the story, but they took that risk and actually kind of like made it better. Like they I don't know what to say because like they made it better. Like it looks as though we didn't need Mushu at all. But like um in like the poem, like Mushu wasn't featured at all. So
Yeah.
they were trying to make it like look like the poem too.
Yeah, I guess this is more of uh not even a remake, but kind of an adaptation. I haven't read the poem. This is just what I'm getting from
Yeah, I didn't
bits
read
and
the
pieces.
poem either.
But this seems like more of an adaptation of the original source material, while the animated movie was kind of more of its own thing. So
Yeah.
I feel like you could separate the two. Like if you like the original animated Mulan, you might not like this, and if you didn't like the original Mulan, then you might like this. I feel like
Yeah.
it just goes for a totally different thing, which I guess is kind of the way to go. Instead of making something derivative on what is kind of an inferior storytelling, like you know,
Yeah.
mechanic, because animation you can do anything, right? So when you
Yeah,
make
it's like you can do the impossible to the possible. You can do anything with animation.
yeah, so when you make an animated movie, you do the impossible, right? And then you try to
Yeah.
make it live action, and it you either can't do it or it just looks bad.
Like yeah, there are some scenes in Mulan which look so amateur and
Yeah,
like I don't know what to say. Like it just looks bad. Like okay, some action sequences from Mulan are good, but
yeah,
overall, like some of the stunts performed in Mulan, they're like meh to like bleh, like bad. Like they're just like straight up bad.
uh
Cause
huh,
like it just feels so raw and just feels so like it just like stands out the most. Like I like in my opinion. What would you
yeah.
say?
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of action. Instead of the songs, I guess, they replaced those with action scenes, basically. So there were a bunch of action scenes. I kind of like the action scenes.
Yeah, I like them too.
They were fast paced, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of like the camera turning thing they did. They're like running up
Yeah.
walls and stuff. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was
Um,
actually really cool.
yeah, I like that technique. Um, so since I guess that's a good thing, and that's probably why I overall at least like the movie, um, because there were so many action scenes, and I like how those were directed.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
in terms like the music, like what you mentioned, like since like they didn't feature songs from the original, they at least featured like at least music, like the
yeah,
instrumentals of the original and incorporated in some scenes where like, you know, like where it stands out like
hmm,
reflection. So they put that like where the scene is like in some parts of the movie as well, which I thought was like genius. Like in some cases, I don't think Mulan needed to be a musical, but like the songs were like really great to listen to. I love listening to the Mulan songs, but in some cases, since like this is a movie about a girl who goes into an army, like just that like sentence alone, I don't think it requires like any songs or anything. But yeah, overall, I don't think Mulan needs to be a musical, but I'm glad that they at least like respected the original by like using the instrumentals of the original, putting it in the remake.
Yeah, kind of as a callback of sorts.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, war movies kind of war movies commonly do have like at least one song. Like 1917 had one. You
yeah,
know, it's a kind of set the vibe and shit. So I don't think they had to. I guess toning down the songs. I don't think they had to remove them. I think that was just kind of a way to make it more action oriented and make it feel like its own thing, unlike the Lion King
yeah.
and Aladdin, which were very clearly derivative. Um,
I
eh,
just feel like as though they might as well at least include like one song because
mhm.
I don't know. It just in my opinion, I feel like they could have included like reflection at least. Like they didn't need to include like I'll make a man out of you because that's where the war part comes in. Like the tone, just like the tone shifts with the war part. So at least I think they should have included like reflection from
Yeah.
the original Mulan to put in here. That way it can give like uh like something about Mulan in a way.
Y-
Because like what would you say about the character? Let's talk about the character.
I think the acting wasn't that good personally. I know some people like her, some people hate her, but I feel like she kind of she didn't really have good line delivery. Sometimes she overreacted to certain things, and sometimes she like didn't react at all. Like to the phoenix, she was just like a phoenix, but no, that's a phoenix. That's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
like this is exactly what happened with like the remake of Beauty and the Beast. Like, did you see
hmm
that? Yeah.
no, I
So like,
haven't, but I've seen
oh
like reviews and how like it's kind of emotionless and stuff.
yeah. So like, what happened with the remake Beauty and the Beast? So wait, have you seen the original?
No, I haven't seen the original.
Okay,
Oops.
so like okay, there was this like music sequence where like the main character is in an enchanted castle and like these household objects like perform a
hmm
show for her. And, like in the original, she's so fun, like she's actually in an enchanted castle. Like that's like the type of reaction because like they're putting on a show for you. So you should at least feel like, yeah, I'm in a show, like yay, like you're like happy, like you're excited, like they're presenting you food. In the remake, they just dull that down, and like Emma Watson, her performance looks like she's so bored. Like the excuses like the director made was like, oh yeah, she was bored during the entire filming of like Be Our Guest, and I'm like, what? Like
That's not an excuse.
you're an actor. Like Emma Watson, you are an actor. You have to pretend you're in an enchanted castle. These objects are like singing to you. You have to pretend to at least like enjoy it. Like, how is that an excuse? That's not a good excuse. They just kept it in though. I don't understand. They just kept it in anyway. Like
Yeah.
what
I mean,
what was the point of that?
most of these remakes are just done by people who don't understand the original at all and are
Yeah.
just looking to make money. They don't care about the magic. They probably didn't even grow up with them as a child. They just
Like that's one
saw it.
thing.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Yeah, like most of the directors who directed are like 50 years old, so like they did not whatsoever grew up with the originals.
Yeah.
At least with John Favreau with the Jungle Book, he did grow up with the Jungle Book, but to me, I didn't like it that much because it wasn't that like there were certain aspects of the film that I didn't enjoy, like the acting on Mowgli. I felt was like uh, dull, dull, or I don't know how to describe his acting. It just feels bad. I just it's just bad in a way.
hmm
I just didn't like his acting whatsoever. But yeah, with the Mulan, it seems as though the director actually cared about the original. That's why she used references from the original and updates on like some scenes and sequences from the original into this remake.
Yeah. I feel like this this isn't the perfect remake or how, but I feel like this is a good kind of outline or guideline of how you should do a remake, like to make it not derivative and its own thing, but have references to the original. And yeah, I feel like this is kind of a good start for making better Disney remakes. Hey, sorry for the weird cut, guys. My internet just went out. But you were talking about the Notre Dame remake.
Yeah, I heard like they were going to do like the original. They were taking ideas from the original and the book itself, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was a great idea. Like, go on with that, and like I think with like the previous remakes. Like Mulan like sets the bar with live action remakes. I'm
Yeah.
thinking like with Mulan they're gonna do something a bit different, especially with another remake called Hercules. Because like with the original, I sort of liked it, but I felt it was too cartoonish, like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Hmm.
So like with the remake, I hope they're gonna make it like a little bit serious in a way. Because like from reading Greek mythology in sixth grade, you can tell like it's a serious sort of
Oh
subject
yeah,
that
yeah.
it shouldn't be like treated as a joke, and that's kind of what the original did.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the same thing, the same problem people had with Milan,
Yeah,
especially with the character Mushu.
yeah,
Mushu was definitely just put into Milan because the genie was so popular in Aladdin, because
yeah,
like every animated movie was doing that.
yeah. Like every animated movie had to have a funny sidekick character
Yeah,
that kind of just steals the show. We have
yeah,
like Aladdin with the genie, The Lion King with Timon and Pumbaa, and like Mulan with Mushu.
yeah. I don't think that's entirely necessary, really. I guess they're just there to keep kids' attention. While the adults and focused on like the actual story of it.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's not bad, but I think they kind of you don't really need a funny sidekick anymore. They kind of just get in the way. But
Yeah, like in terms of Mulan, I don't think they even need, yeah, like what you said, they didn't need that because like it's
mhm,
a movie like where a girl goes into war dressed up as a man. I don't think like in any case there was a need to put like Mushu as a funny sidekick
mhm,
character
yeah,
unless like from what I heard about like Mushu and like Chinese like history, he's supposed to be like a good luck charm. So like if you're going to use Mushu for good luck, which never happened in the original, if you're going to use Mushu as a good luck, then at least not make him like a funny character, but like, try to make him like a sort of, I don't know how to explain it, like a guide or something for
yeah.
Mulan.
Speaking of, this movie does a really weird thing with narration where there's like a narrator, but only like twice in the entire movie. Like there's
Yeah.
only and it
The
was
narrator, the
yeah.
narrator was supposed to be Mulan's father, which
Oh.
like I got, but like I don't know why he needed to narrate the entire movie,
Yeah, it's kind
which
of
like
unnecessary. They never said anything necessary either.
he never even approached us saying like, "Hi, I'm Mulan's father," and like, "Here's the
Yeah,
story of Mulan." But he just like immediately got into the narration.
yeah,
So like, it was like I don't know. I don't see any need for narration. I usually hate narration in
hmm,
movies unless it's absolutely necessary.
yeah, yeah. Me too. Because it's like we're watching what's happening. We don't need to be told what's
Yeah.
happening. It's right there. But yeah, that's whatever. It's not a big deal. It only happens a few times. But again, I think despite this movie only being okay in my opinion, it kind of sets the gold standard for Disney remakes. One, because the bar has been so low already, but two, because the fact that it's not completely derivative of the original is definitely a step in the right direction. Like these
Yeah.
things, they should
It's
be
like,
their own thing.
yeah. Like how I interpret these remakes, you need to like the directors, like just the word for the directors. You need to make this movie as if you're making it as your own. Like you got this idea for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have this like story and you want to bring it to life for the first time. Instead, these directors of the original were like, okay, we need to focus on the original. How are we gonna make it
Yeah,
appeal to like original audiences that grew up with the original?
it's
How
so
are we gonna
dumb.
do that? Yeah,
Yeah,
it's dumb. You don't need to do that. Like you have this movie, you have total control of this movie. Don't worry about what people think. Just interpret it as your own. Like with John Favreau, he took like 99.9% of the original movie and made it something soulless, yet made it as though it looked like a Marvel movie, which really bothered me because like none of these remakes should be treated as a Marvel movie
uh huh.
because like they're just their own thing. So use it as your own thing. Like incorporate, like do what you did with Jungle Book but with the Lion King and make it your own. Don't make it like the original. And like
Yeah,
this is something like the original directors of the original movies were really angry about, except Mulan. The Mulan directors are actually really cool about the remake. They did not mind because it wasn't a shot for shot remake, but with the original animators and directors, they were furious,
oh
absolutely
yeah,
furious.
obviously
Yeah, and did not get like any like the
compensation.
directors, well, yeah, like the directors of Beauty and the Beast, the original ones, did not get said that they did not get paid like a single red cent for like the remake, which
Mm.
I thought was unfair because like they should be credited because like this movie was having like story problems, so and they brought it up into making it something great. You should at least credit these people, but no, they didn't do that.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. I think I agree with you with the Marvel movie thing, but on the contrary of that, I think the Mulan remake was treated like a Marvel movie, but I don't think that's that bad of a thing. Like it definitely had a Marvel movie script, kind of,
Oh yeah,
but with this thing, not trying to be an animated movie, trying to be more of an action movie, it kind of works. Like Lion King will never be a Marvel movie.
yeah,
Aladdin will never be a Marvel movie. Beauty and the Beast will never be a Marvel movie. This, on the other hand, is
yeah. This could
extremely
be
action heavy.
yeah,
Mulan's
this
kind of
could
like a
be
hero.
treated as a Marvel movie. Yeah, like this
Yeah, this kind of
100%.
worked.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
especially with the introduction of characters and like
Hmm.
screenwriting. This could be treated as a Marvel movie, not the other remakes.
Oh
Don't
yeah.
treat the other originals as a Marvel movie. Since this is a movie about war, you can easily make this into like a Marvel movie. It doesn't like even Marvel themselves could produce this movie, and like it
Yeah.
would still like be better or like still be the same or something like that.
Yeah. I feel like they do kind of treat this as a Marvel movie because Disney owns Marvel.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, again, it's not the worst thing in the world. I feel like the actual story is kind of predictable, and the script is kind of dull. And it's kind of like
yeah. The script is yeah, like especially with the line delivery on like the person who played Mulan. Like one thing my sister complained about when she watched this movie is that like she didn't have like much emotion, like
yeah, yeah,
especially when she cried, she didn't like physically cried or like unlike the original like this is a sad situation you're in, like why you're not like that sad, like how are we supposed to feel, like how are we supposed to feel like or sympathize for you if you're not going to treat this as like a terrible situation, like your father's going to war and he's never coming back, why are you
yeah,
not like taking this like personally, you're like you're just like it's just like you're just staring at him like okay yeah, like you're just like oh he's going to war, that's
yeah,
nice, like you're just treating it like an everyday thing.
yeah. But I, but the thing is, this is the first PG-13
Oh yeah.
remake. But it kind of has the script of a G movie. It's so simplistic. It's like I know not all G movies are for kids, but it feels like this script was made for kids.
Yeah, they were trying to appeal to kids
Yeah.
as well as adults too.
Yeah. But I feel like in the action it appealed to the adults, but the script was too simplistic, I think. I think most adults, especially if you don't find anything in the action, the story and the script, they're not going to do it for you. It's
Yeah.
like so cliched. It kind of feel I said this is
Like
an outline for like all the other Disney remakes. This script feels like it's just like an outline without all the interesting stuff put in. So,
like you can easily tell what's going to come next. That's
yeah.
like that's the entire thing of the movie. Especially since like this is I hate to call it this a remake since it's like an adaptation of Mulan.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're not like being reminded of the original. So like this is its own movie, but like you can easily tell what's going to happen even
Yeah.
like if you don't watch the original movie.
Yeah, I didn't like the script. It took four people to write this. Like it feels like it
Yeah.
took one person an afternoon to write this.
Yeah.
It's so simplistic, and it was probably doled down by the studio. They might have had something cool, but
I'm
who
pretty sure.
knows?
I feel as though they were kind of pressured into making sure
Yeah.
this script was like great, because
Uh-huh.
like again, this is like Mulan we're talking about. This is a movie that has to appeal to Chinese audience
Hmm.
and to Americans with adults and kids. It has to appeal to everyone. So they're trying to make this as like great as possible, but they can't because they're having so many creative limitations with it, especially when they're trying to appeal it to kids.
Yeah. Well, it's just
Which
it definitely feels like this script was made to it's a generic blockbuster script basically, and generic American blockbusters do very well in China.
yeah,
So this is if I were to sum up the script in one word, it would two words, I guess, just two words. It'd be generic blockbuster. Like I feel like I've seen this a million times. I've seen the same story beats a million times.
yeah.
It doesn't really try. Besides the directing, obviously, it doesn't try to do anything new, and I think that's my main problem with it.
I mean, and like in some cases, like plots are not like copyrighted. Like you can easily take a plot,
Yeah.
but you have to make it into something new. Like
Mm-hmm.
this movie doesn't do that. Like you know what's gonna happen. It's not refreshing. Like you've seen this story told like 1,000, 1,000,000,000 times before, especially with other pieces of property out there. You've seen this story told before and before, again and again, again and again. So like they do nothing new with the script or with the characters. Like especially with the, like you mentioned before, especially when Mulan sees the Phoenix for the first time. Like I feel as though they could have done something with the Phoenix. Like he didn't have to talk, but like he had, like we didn't see the Phoenix clearly. Like I don't know. Like I feel like we could have seen like they could have shown us like what the Phoenix was like looking at like Mulan or something, like in
Uh-huh.
most movies. Um, like there was like this one movie, like I forgot what it's called, but I no wait, like there's this one movie called like Balto 2, which is a sequel to Balto, but like they had this like raven who would usually like look at Balto because like it had something to do with the story, which didn't. But like you could have at least done something with the Phoenix and like like at least have like eye contact with Mulan.
Uh-huh.
I feel like that's just me, but like they could have done something with the Phoenix a bit more. Like he
Yeah.
just shows up once in a while, and that's just boring. Like you couldn't have done something better with the Phoenix. Like you just want him to just fly around. Like
Yeah.
that's annoying.
Well, I think really the most ironic thing about this whole movie is that it's supposed to appeal to Chinese audiences, but I think Disney thought that Chinese audiences were dumb because it feels like, again, it's like the most simplistic stuff, and that's because those types of movies do so well. And it's like, oh, the Chinese audiences, they don't want complicated stuff. They don't want complicated
Yeah.
characters. They want this. So they made this, and it doesn't look like Chinese audiences liked it too much. So oops.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is going to be released on like September 11th, so we'll see like what the
Mm-hmm.
reviews are. But
Yeah.
from the poster, yeah, like from the poster alone, I can feel as though the Chinese audience will like just rip apart this movie even worse than the original.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just feel it coming.
Yeah. Well, some people in China already saw it because first off, they can. Well, I guess they're in China, so it's kind of hard for them to get an American
Yeah.
VPN connection. But it was leaked a while back. Um,
Oh, was it?
yeah, the Mandarin version at least was leaked. So, um, I think some people saw it, and I don't think the reaction was too good. But I guess we'll have to wait to see on, September 11th to see what happens. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I I do want to give this film like a benefit of the doubt when like in terms of casting.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is one of the first Disney movies I've seen that does not have like one single white person. Because like I was absolutely angry with Aladdin with like how they introduced like one white person. Like that wasn't necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That person like that person was not necessary whatsoever. I get you're trying to increase diversity, but why, like this is a movie that takes place like in the Middle East. I'm not even sure like white people were there.
Yeah.
If they were, I'm pretty sure they would be like treated as slaves or something.
Yeah.
I like why do you need to include him? It was not necessary. And they're going to make a film about him, which I don't know like what to say about that.
That they're gonna make a film. That's
They're making
oh,
a film about that white guy. I don't know how that's necessary. Why is that necessary?
uh, okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna have to review that, huh?
Yeah,
That's
you could have. Yeah, we'll review it together. If you could do it. I just don't
interesting.
get. You don't need to do that. But like with Mulan, at least they did not whitewash Mulan. That's
Mm-hmm.
one thing
Yeah.
that I will appreciate about this movie. They did not do that whatsoever. I think this is one of the first movies that has like a full Asian cast. I think
Yeah. At
so.
least, at least
That's
the full Chinese cast.
Yeah, that's one thing I will appreciate about this movie, as well in terms of like its action sequences and music. Other than like the script and story, the film overall was okay, I guess, good
Mm-hmm.
at least, to say the least. But the way it's being torn apart by like the American audience just feels like it's unfair because like they're trying to appeal to Chinese audience. But
Yeah.
we'll see how China like deals with this movie.
Yeah. See what they think. I mean, most people tearing it apart haven't even seen it. They're just
Yeah,
like just based on what they've heard. They just don't like it because well, here's the catch 22, right? People
yeah,
don't like the other remakes because they're too much like the original, and they're like, oh, this sucks, whatever.
Yeah.
But now people don't like this remake because it's not like the original. So what the hell are you supposed to
What do you
do?
want? What do you want? You want something that's like the original, or you don't want something like the original? For
Yeah.
me, I don't want anything like the original. Because
Yeah,
like
this is
again,
good. Yeah.
these directors, you should treat it as your own. You
Uh-huh.
shouldn't treat it like the original. Treat it as your own movie because you have this story. You have like this like great story. You have to treat it as your own thing. Like you have
Yeah.
to direct it your own way. Stop like using shots from the original and like using them as references. Like I'm pretty sure like the entire storyboard process through like Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Lion King, they just took the original movies and said, "This is our storyboard." I am
Yeah.
100% sure they did that.
And they made it slower too.
Yeah, of course they made it slower. Like
Yeah.
they also included like unnecessary sequences. Like
Mm-hmm.
for one thing, like we're gonna talk about Beauty and the Beast for a second. Like they had so like with the remake, Belle was seen inventing something, but they never used that. So why was that sequence necessary? Why was the sequence like with Belle inventing something necessary? Because it wasn't used throughout the rest of the movie. And plus, they had this one scene where Belle finally learns something about her mother, but I don't see how that's necessary unless like her and her father had like an argument or something about their mother. But then they had like this like conversation later saying, "Oh, father, I found out what happened to mother," and then the father was like, "So you finally figured out why I had to leave her?" But like, why was that necessary? That wasn't necessary. Like, you didn't need to include the mother scene unless it was absolutely necessary. Like with Aladdin, I think it's understandable why you need to include that. But if in terms of Beauty and the Beast, there's no need to include that because like Belle's not rebellious to her father.
Mhm.
She loves her father. So like, why do you need to include like the scene with her like finding out like what happened to her mother when like they never had an argument in the first place or something?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, this movie not being a complete copy of the original definitely the original is in the animated movie, definitely cuts down on the unnecessariness. Like this movie, even Aladdin, which I think is a movie I liked more,
yeah,
this movie is more, I feel like, has more purpose and feels like it has more of a kind of like a right to exist because it's trying to say something new, trying to tell something new.
yeah.
So that's what
at
I
least at
really.
least with me and Aladdin, like it feels as though they were trying to replicate 2D animation, especially
Mhm.
with in terms of the genie, because the genie actually looks like he's trying to do like some like 2D animation sort of like scenes, like especially when he's like like zooming or
Yeah.
like yeah like that. It looks like as though they were trying to replicate 2D animation. In this case, since this is a war movie and Mushu's not here, it feels less like a cartoon and more like a real life movie. Like this is a real
Yeah.
situation they're in. Aladdin just feels like a like cartoon with the genie in terms of the genie.
Mhm.
With this one though, I feel like it's the best live action remake overall.
Mhm.
Compared to like last year's remakes, which were
Oh
god
yeah.
awful to
Oh,
like
I hated
okay.
those. Yeah.
The Lion King remake was the worst remake, and I
Of
heard
course.
people actually liked the remake, and I couldn't even say anything because like I don't want to argue. I don't want to argue with your stupidity. I don't want
Whoa.
to argue with you. Like I just couldn't argue. But yeah,
Mm.
with this remake, it honestly is the best remake, and it's actually better than the Jungle Book remake. Because like with the Jungle Book remake, John Favreau tried to make it look like the original, so he took the songs and like the remake had like a serious tone. It had a serious tone, but they had songs which were directly towards kids, but they incorporated in the remake. So now the tone is like all over the place. So like, is it
Mhm.
supposed to be a serious movie? Is it supposed to be like a kids movie? It doesn't tell us because like all the songs that like are targeted towards kids are now in the remake, and now it's just like a tonal. It's like the tone shifts like a lot. But again, with Mulan, it just feels like the tone is same. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel like this movie. I kind of agree. I kind of disagree. I feel like the action scenes and the script clash in terms of tone because, like I said, the script feels kind of childish, but the action
Yeah.
scenes kind of feel adult. But it definitely, I feel like this movie is more stable throughout. Like
Mhm.
it kind of feels like I wasn't thinking about this when I was watching it, but when I look back, it's kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon,
Yeah.
with the intense action scenes, GI Joe shooting stuff, war, but the thing like you're a poopy head and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's basically this, and although that's kind of an inconsistent tone, it's consistent throughout. Uh, like you don't get a lot of change in how the story is told.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like it's consistent in its inconsistency in a way. Um, so I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for, but that's what I got.
I mean, yeah, like the tone kind of, yeah, it's inconsistent, but at the same time remains consistent, like
Yeah,
throughout the entire movie.
yeah, like it doesn't change a lot. Like um, kind of what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
Uh, do you
At
wanna?
least,
Oh, you
yeah,
can.
like I just gonna want to say one thing. I
Yeah.
think like when I'm looking at the Wikipedia page, like at least like with Aladdin, what they did with Aladdin, they just kind of like rushed with the casting, which is why like some people were controversial about Jasmine because like she's half Indian, half like British.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would also kind of like criticize Jasmine because like they could have at least hired like Middle Eastern actors, like people from Arabia or something. But like with Mulan, they tried to make sure they took their time with
Yeah.
casting Mulan. That's one thing I will appreciate about this movie. Like again with Guy Ritchie with Aladdin, he's clearly there for a paycheck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I know Guy Ritchie can make a good movie. But Aladdin definitely is not a Guy Ritchie movie.
Yeah.
It's just a movie that Guy Ritchie just happened to work on.
Yeah,
Uh,
it was kind of weird that they hired him in the first place.
was the cast all Chinese in Mulan, or was there any
Um,
like other Eastern Asian people?
um, like most of them are like Chinese born, but they're like most of them are like Singaporean born, but
Mm-hmm.
they're also Chinese descent. So at least with that, they kind of like had like a perfect like Eastern Asian cast.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Yeah, the cast was definitely done well.
Yeah.
Do you want to get into spoiler talk?
Oh yeah, let's get into that.
You can kick it off if you want.
Okay, so so we were talking about the two villains in the remake, and the two villains, I forgot what their names were. We'll get onto that, but like there was a female villain and there was a male
Yeah,
villain. The female villain, like it feels obvious about her story arc that she would reform, but I felt like that was too soon, and I don't know if it felt like it just feels like surprising because like she killed millions of people. Why would she suddenly reform? Or I don't know if it's just me. Like, what do you think?
yeah. I feel like that was kind of done a little quickly. Like she just decides to do it at one point. I think it was kind of inside of her the whole time because the whole like thing was that they wanted to kill the emperor, but
Yeah,
she was literally like right in front of the emperor. Like when she was disguised as
yeah,
the army guy, she could have just killed him right then. Why did she
yeah,
not
right
kill
there.
him?
I
That
don't know. Like maybe like she wanted like her master to kill her because
hmm
like her master desperately wanted to kill the emperor in like vengeance for
yeah.
his father. So I guess that's why. But like you had an opportunity right in front of you. You like they could have killed him off and the movie would have been over. We didn't need to watch any of this. Like she could have killed him off as soon.
hmm
Like I get she had like great shape shifting abilities, and they clearly kind of used it throughout the movie. But like when I first saw she can take the form, like she can like possess people. I think that's
Kind
the
of. Yeah. Well, she
I
can
I
like
was
take their bodies, I
yeah,
guess.
I was confused on that scene. Like when I first watched it, I was like, what is happening? Like what is she doing? Like I like is she like kill like I don't know. Like at first I thought he was being lifted or something. I don't know. I couldn't tell. Like it was confusing like whether or not she was possessing or taking his body.
Huh?
And like we never see his body ever again. Like we never see that person again.
hmm
Like she does this two times, but we never see their bodies. Like what happened to them? Like did they disappear or I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I feel like I mean, she only steals bodies twice in the movie. It's kind of weird that they don't use it like ever again. She turns
Yeah.
into a hawk a lot, but I
Yeah,
mean,
that's supposed to be a nod to the original.
I see.
Yeah, which is kind of genius, but like she's like a shapeshifter. she can shapeshift into anything. So why does it just have to be a hawk?
Yeah, she probably should shape shift into the Emperor, and
Yeah,
then confuse
that would have been a
everyone, and then kill the Emperor.
that would have been a great that would have been a great story, but they never did that because they of course they wanted to keep the emperor in the story for some reason. I don't
Yeah.
know why you needed to do that. Like is the emperor needed in this? Like wait, do we does wait, the emperor is needed in the story. I get that, but like it could have been quicker. Like you could have killed him easily. So like you just took your sweet time into like I can't
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. He was kind of just, well, I guess again to appeal to the Chinese government, they wanted to, and I noticed this in the final fight scene, like the Emperor was really the first person to really believe in Mulan. Like, yeah, Mulan, you're a great warrior, you're amazing, you know.
That felt soon.
Yeah,
Like
that was kind of forced. It was supposed to be like, oh yeah, look at this, the government's good. Look at him. He likes women. That makes him okay.
I mean,
Um,
like since like this person was like in charge of the army, like the army clearly states that they cannot have a woman in the army.
yeah.
Like, what is your reaction here? Like, are you against that law or are you with it? I'm
You're the
confused.
emperor. You
Yeah,
can
you're the
change
emperor.
that.
At least I think like with the original Mulan, they don't explain it, but like he never mentions like go Mulan, go
Yeah,
fight
that
him
was
or
forced.
yeah, like that was completely forced. Like again, like are you with the law or are you against the law? That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, that just goes back to the whole thing where it's obviously meant to appeal the Chinese government to they probably got a bunch of like tax credit and shit over there. They probably filmed over there and stuff. So they probably wanted to really appeal to them. So they wanted to make the emperor look good. So Winnie the Pooh was like, "Oh, this is great. This is
Yeah,
but
of course, like they banned Christopher Robin, and then like
yeah,
I think they were trying to make a desperate move. Okay, how do we make the Chinese government like us? They already hate us already with the original Mulan and Winnie the Pooh. How are we gonna? Okay, yeah, Mulan. We'll remake Mulan.
yeah, this is definitely that kind of situation.
Yeah.
What do you think about the bad woman, quote unquote bad,
Well,
sacrificing herself for Mulan?
okay, yeah, that felt too soon. Like
Hmm.
I didn't know what was going on whatsoever. Like, so like when I first saw this scene, like it feels as though she was going to help Bori Khan. She was going to help him,
Uh huh.
like try to like stop Mulan. I was confused on that part, but like when she suddenly sacrificed herself, that kind of felt forced in a way. Like if I could relate this, like there was also this one scene, like like you watched with Mulan and like the bad woman, like the bad woman was telling her, "Join me" or something. That felt like this could be like a great reference to another movie called like Rise of the Guardians, where like the boogeyman tells like Jack Frost to join him, but
Hmm.
like instead of the boogeyman reforms, he just actively stays the villain. So I felt like they could have done that. Like she could have stayed the villain the entire time. Like
Yeah.
I don't think there was any need to reform her because like her sacrifice was like too soon, and like again like I was thinking this like over and over like when I first saw that like I thought like she was invincible at one point. I actually thought like
Hmm.
nothing can kill her. So
Yeah.
like I thought that sacrifice meant like nothing. So like plus you're why would you turn into a hawk in the first place? Like why like couldn't you turn into like an animal that like defends Mulan like better?
Yeah.
Or
Like, well, why didn't she just like push him when he was taking the shot?
like I don't know. Like you I don't know how to explain it. Like
I guess, well,
it's
it was probably supposed to be a like kind of girl power moment, like she's rebelling against the guy, but they couldn't naturally put it in there, so they kind of just slapped it in at the end because if not, it would have made the movie look bad, like I guess sexist, and
yeah.
that probably would have been fine in China, but I don't know if that would have flew too well in America.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that's why, but that's not a good. That's not a good excuse to do it.
Yeah, like I like the her name is like Z Lang. I can't say it. I'll just say Lang. But I like Lang, but again her sacrifice was too soon. But I really enjoy the part where she asks Mulan to join her.
Hmm.
I felt that was a good scene. But when she told her plan, like like you couldn't have stopped her or something.
Yeah.
Like you told the plan. Like I thought at one point she was actually tricking Mulan. That would have been a great device to use, but you didn't trick Mulan at all. You told her the exact plan, which was like I can't explain that. Like why would you tell her the entire plan? Like you couldn't have at least tricked her. If you tricked her, that would have been a great device to use. Like that way, like I don't know, the army could like lose confidence in her. But you actually told her the entire thing, and you didn't bother to stop her. So
Yeah.
like, would she be a villain? Or
Well, she's just totally underdeveloped.
yeah,
She
like
just does things for the sake of doing things. Like there's no actual character reason. She just does it.
the backstory on like her was like okay, but I feel like they could have fleshed that a bit more. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, just every part of a character just kind of seemed underdeveloped. She could have, like, yeah, she was abused and cast out as a child. That's like kind of the stock,
Yeah,
villain thing. So, it, whatever. She just kind of exists, I guess. She just does whatever the story needs her to do. Again, that's kind of ironic. Like the bad guy, the main reason why the audience wouldn't like him, the only reason the movie gives you as to why the audience would not like the villain of this movie, Borakan, is because he's so bad to the woman. He kind of treats her like a bitch. But this
yeah,
story itself treats the character like a bitch, and it's just like,
yeah.
do this because I told you to. You don't need anything. Just do it. That's basically what the script is saying to her.
I mean, the character of Boricon, to me, it just feels like dry. Like
Hmm.
it's not properly developed. Like again, like what we mentioned before, like he's only being the villain just because A, the emperor killed his father, and B, they took some of their land. So wouldn't that make the emperor and like his
Yeah,
people the villains? Like I'm supposed to relate to this character. I'm supposed to like this character. Like and this character, like it kind of does a great job, but like it fails because like I don't feel like he has a greater personality. At least like with classic Disney villains, they have personalities. Like with Scar, for example. I'm no comparing Scar, but he's the best example. Like he's constantly constantly sarcastic throughout the movie, and he's like treated as like a drama queen, like as like in the entire original Lion King. In this case, like none of the characters seem to have personality. They're just there because they're there.
yeah,
Like there, like they don't have like a specific trait. They don't have like personalities. They're we need to have a villain for the story to kill a lot of people. Like that's I feel like that's their only purpose in this movie, which like you have a great villain so far. Like you fleshed out the characters a bit, but you need to like go in deeper into that. Like you couldn't have like showed I don't know, like in my case, like some background info on Boricon.
hmm
Like what do you think?
yeah. I get that. Just goes. Oops. I guess that just goes back to what I was saying before about how yeah, oh yeah, the villains just, yeah, they're just underdeveloped. They're just the villains because the movie tells us they're the villains.
Yeah.
There is no like actual reason. One
Yeah.
second, I gotta check my computer, see if I'm running out of space.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I have 930 megabytes left, so that should
Uh,
be good for yeah, that's fine.
okay.
Um, but yeah, this movie isn't. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah,
It
it's not a bad movie.
I like the whole concept of it, and I hope they use this concept with the other remakes going forward. Trying to make it its own thing, but
Yeah.
um, it's it's still Disney remakes still have a long way to go though.
Yeah.
That's-
Especially like I feel as though they're gonna do like remakes of the remakes. They were like, okay, we need more
yeah.
money, and like these remakes were awful. What were we thinking back then? Let's make them better. Like,
And then they make them
I,
worse.
yeah, they make it even worse. Yeah, like overall, like this movie was okay.
Hmm.
Like I appreciate the director even more because like the director did something that no other director of the remakes did. she actually cared about the movie. Like I feel like as though she wasn't there just for a paycheck.
Hmm.
Like of course she was there for that, but like she actually cared about the movie. She actually cared about the original, but she also cared about like the Chinese representation like in the movie. So like she went through many lengths and many risks too just to make this movie as great as it is. So I appreciate the director of the movie and like the story writers and screenwriters. Well, except like the screenplay is a bit like
Hmm.
for kids. But I appreciate the director for taking risks in making this movie as great as it is, especially in removing Mushu and the songs, which I feel as though people should at least appreciate. They're trying to do something great for China, not
Yeah,
just for America. So like the audience score on like Rotten Tomatoes is I can't
it's like
describe it, but
40,
like
48% or
yeah,
something.
48%. Last time I thought I saw it like as 40, but like yeah, they should um at least like appreciate the movie for what it is and what it wasn't. Like you shouldn't like compare it to the original because it's not the original. It's
Hmm.
like an adaptation of like the poem and the original. So it's not fair to call this a remake because I'm not calling it a remake. But like yeah, even in like the Wikipedia page, it calls it a live action adaptation. So it shouldn't be called a remake. It should be at least called an adaptation of Mulan in general.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's its strongest strength. I think the director really put in the hours and really picked up where the screenwriters kind of slacked. So that's what saved the movie.
Yeah.
Um,
And
but
it feels as though I feel as though they kind of went to China to research about their
hmm.
culture because the representation and like the culture of China like in this movie is like phenomenal.
Uh-huh.
Like it's better compared to the original Mulan. Um but yeah, like it's better than what like the original Mulan presented us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was okay to me. It's still, trying too hard to be a blockbuster, trying too hard to appeal to multiple audiences. Kind of messy, but it's definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen. So that's that.
Yeah, it's at least it's not the Lion King remake.
Do you want to get into the number ratings?
Oh yeah.
Do you
Wait,
want
do
to
I
go
start?
first or yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
okay. I'll give this film like besides like with the action sequences and like the direction of this movie and like the music references of the original, I'd give this film like a 7.5 out of 10.
Hmm.
What would you give it, Joe?
I'd personally give it a 6.
Oh, okay.
That for me that's passable. Again,
That's passable. That's understandable.
yeah, I feel like it's just passable. I don't know if I would recommend paying $30 for it, but
Yeah, I paid $30 for it.
if you if it's on TV or if it's like at the Red Box or something and you don't have anything else to watch, this isn't the worst thing. So
I mean, it's gonna be on Disney Plus like on December
yeah,
4th.
that's true.
So you should at least maybe like
Wait,
considering like
yeah, I think waiting till December 4th isn't a bad option.
yeah, like um there was like one thing I wanted to say. What was it? I kind of like one thing like I would say that I did enjoy this film, but I also hope like it kind of bombs. Like
Mm,
it's just like my own thing because I really don't like these live action remakes. Mulan is like passable, but like overall these remakes suck. They shouldn't be made in the first place unless it's absolutely necessary, like in terms of like old movies like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs or something. But overall, I kind of hope this film bombs. But again, like this movie is great. You should definitely wait till December 4th, though.
yeah, like $30, just especially if you're gonna like watch it alone. Like that's kind of a steep price.
If you
Um,
had like, if it was like $20 or like $10, like I feel like that could have been passable or something. But again,
yeah,
with this high of a budget, they kind of need to raise the price a bit.
yeah. This is definitely like a last ditch effort to try to make money, because
Yeah,
I don't think they're expecting this to do too well.
yeah. Plus, they're gonna release more films on the Premiere Access or Premiere Access.
That sucks.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we'll review them when those come out. But
yeah,
thanks for coming on, Isaac.
yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So yeah, next time on the Movie Hoppers, something I guess. There's no movies
Yeah,
coming out. So we'll see what happens. But
yeah.
thank you
Let's see what
guys.
happens.
Thank you guys for watching and goodbye.
Goodbye.